It's Thursday, December 24th. I'm Shane Irwin. The snow and ice that this weekend's storm left all over our region continues to melt thanks to warmer temperatures. But will that continue? Alexandra Wilson has more in your exclusive Storm Tracker First Forecast.
Hey Shane, yeah.
Good evening and thanks for tuning in on this first Saturday of 2010. I'm Shane Irwin. Kristen Sell has the night off. We'll have your top stories and more in just a moment, but first we'll get a quick check on the weather. Meteorologist Brian Shaw is in the Storm Tracker Weather Lab with a first look at your forecast. And Brian, it's getting colder and colder out there. Then our top story tonight, a Salvation Army major gunned down in Arkansas in front of his 3 children is laid to rest today in Morgantown. A memorial service was held this morning for 40-year-old Major Philip Wise at the Spruce Street Presbyterian Church in Morgantown. Bob Allen has more.
At the Civic Center.
I'll trust you. All right. We'll be right back after the break. Stay with us.
Better trust me. I know what I'm talking about.
Good evening and thanks for joining us on this Sunday night. I'm Shane Irwin. Kristen Sell has the evening off. We'll have your top stories in just a moment, but first, let's get a quick check of the weather. Meteorologist Brian Shaw is in the Storm Tracker Weather Lab with a look at your first forecast. Hey, Brian.
At 3 to 5 up in those mountains.
Painfully cold. All right, bundle up. That's it for 13 News at 11. Don't forget to join Martina, Jack, and Jared at 5 a.m. for 13 News this morning.
Coverage continues with our 13 News, Shane Irwin. Shane, how are the roads in Huntington this evening?
Well, Sandra, main roads are mostly clear tonight, but those back roads and side streets remain extremely slick.
Temperatures is actually beneficial for many businesses, right, Shane?
Yes, Sandra, the cold and snowy weather hitting the mountain state can have a negative impact on some businesses, but others thrive out of the house. But Sandra, obviously people don't need to spend too much time out here in the cold weather because as we've reported, there are a number of health issues and other ailments that can be caused by these dangerously cold temperatures.
This was the mud that was out here in the hall, and yesterday, 10 hours, we done it within 10 hours yesterday. We cleaned this hall out.
Karen Fowler and the rest of the Gilbert custodial staff have their work cut out for them. The gym, cafeteria, and every office and classroom on the first floor suffered flood damage.
The school's more or less like a family to us. We're all like a family and get our family back together, get it done.
More than 2.5 feet of water poured into the school. Outside, it was as high as the door handles.
At first it breaks your heart to know you keep it clean like you do and you come in here and it's just destroyed. And you're just like, well, what I do, you know, where do I start?
They started cleaning the gym and hallways, scrubbing away the mud. It's still too early to know if their hard work will get the kids back in time for the always important end-of-the-year testing. But instead of getting ready for the West test, these kids are doing their part to help clean up this huge mess.
I enjoy being off. I enjoy staying up late and sleeping.
While the school looks like this right now, they refuse to give in to the mud and muck.
We just keep going one day at a time. It's going to either, like I said, going to get us or we're going to get it. One of the two, somebody's got to give.
Reporting in Gilbert, West Virginia, Shane Irwin, 13 News.
Explosion at the Special Metals plant in Burnaw, Kentucky. The incident occurred just before 3 o'clock this afternoon and 7 employees were injured. Our 13 News Shane Irwin joins us live from the scene with the very latest. What can you tell us, Shane?
Well, Sandra, we're still here across from the Special Metals plant in Burnaw, Kentucky, where the fire is out after an explosion happened just before 3 o'clock, injuring 7 people, sending 5 to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries, including burns, respiratory irritation, and debris in the eyes. Damage to the actual building where the melt shop is located, building number 40, was minimal. Sandra, those 5 that were injured were transported to KDMC. We will keep you updated on the extent of their injuries and their recovery, and also the cause of this explosion in the coming weeks.
A Guyandotte family loses hundreds of their heirlooms and antiques after fire damages the homes of 2 brothers who live right next door to each other.
Brittany Gardner grew up in this Guyandotte neighborhood and has known the Henderson brothers for most of her life.
They are great guys. I mean, like I said, giving guys, you know what I mean? They would help anyone at any time, you know what I mean? And it's a tragedy that this is what they had.
Just before 3 o'clock Wednesday afternoon, Huntington fire crews responded to the 3900 block of 4th Avenue in Guyandotte, where the Henderson family has lived for centuries. When firefighters got to the scene, fire and smoke were already shooting out of the windows of the house.
Walked out of my house, talked to a couple friends, walked back inside. 10 minutes, one of the neighbors come beating on my door. My brother's house was on fire.
We started to smell smoke. I thought, you know what I mean, it was his house, you know what I mean? And as I got down here, I noticed them, and the woman who lives there has 5 younger children, and I was afraid that the babies would be in there. Thank God they're at their fathers this week.
Firefighters say that dogs that were rescued from the first burning house may have contributed to the fire here at the neighboring home.
We got them out. I took them in the house there. I don't know if they scooted a kerosene heater over against the wall and that's what caught this house here, or if it was ashes blowed through from this, hot ash from this house blowed over to my house upstairs, or I don't really know, but.
Now the attention turns to repairing what has taken generations to build.
And this is my grandma's house, and I've been trying to take care of it, fix it up here and there, and trying to live in it. It's gonna start all over.
With local news in Huntington, Shane Irwin, 13 News.
Detail, ditch, hut, point, arms, aim, fire, present.
It's a labor of love, I guess you can say, and some of us old guys, we say, well, we hope that maybe when we're gone, there'd be somebody that can come do it for us.
These members of American Legion Post 139 began the day with an early wake-up call.
Aim, fire.
It's just a way that we pay tribute to our deceased veterans, and it's also a little camaraderie for the people that belong to this post.
The Color Guard is staying busy, stopping at cemeteries around the region. Instead of 1 or 2 destinations, they've held to an ambitious schedule of 15 ceremonies at cemeteries in Cabell and Putnam counties. And although the day's busy schedule barely gives these guys enough time to even catch their breath, once these veterans get to the cemetery, they say it's important to take time to remember those they've lost.
We need to honor our veterans. We need to remember the sacrifices that they made for us to keep us free, and that's just a small token of our appreciation to our deceased and departed veterans.
This yearly Legion tradition has now become a family event for locals.
It's been a tradition for me and my family. We've gone to this. It's always been important to honor the veterans, especially the ones that have fallen in combat.
Reporting local news in Milton, Shane Irwin, 13 News.
And remembers that day all too well.
That's right, Sandra. Jack Fowler was born and raised in Point Pleasant, while he's now helping the town's tourism by serving as the executive director of the Point Pleasant River Museum. He remembers this day 42 years ago and is encouraged by how bravely the town has handled the toughest of situations. The Silver Bridge exhibit sits right outside Jack Fowler's office at the Point Pleasant River Museum, providing a daily reminder of a day he needs no help remembering.
I came home from work that evening. I got home all around 5:45, and my family was all out in the front yard, all the neighbors, and I got out of the car and I said, my goodness, what's going on? And they said, Jack, the Silver Bridge fell. Well, I couldn't visualize that.
The bridge had in fact fallen, but Jack didn't even have much time to mourn with friends and family.
I was on city council at the time, so, I thought, well, I better go check this out. I can't believe it. I thought I would see maybe a section of the bridge that disappeared, a part of the roadway, but to come down and go out on the riverbank and something that had been there all your life has completely disappeared. There was one piece sticking out up out of the river attached to a pier. Everything else was completely gone and submerged.
Jack came to the riverbank early this morning, and after making another trip with us in the afternoon for this story, noticed an eerie similarity.
And when I think of today and back then, it was a day not dissimilar to what we were just experiencing here today. Cloudy, overcast, temperature dropping. It was just to go out on the riverbank and look and see where it was and think back to that period of time. It's kind of an eerie feeling you get.
A model at the museum shows exactly what happened. The metal in this C-joint was weak, and after 39 years of continuous traffic and bouncing, finally gave way.
At a ribbon cutting for a new business, or the chain, the link in a chain breaks, and that's what happened there. It broke and the whole bridge fell.
It would have been easy for the locals to mope, but instead they showed true resiliency. Now they're continuing to help promote growth in this river town, even during hard times.
Our citizens have the strength to work through these issues and to move forward and find good in them. And we're doing that. Because we all think back, hey, we went through that Silver Bridge time. We made it then. It's hard times now. We'll make it again, and we're going forward.
46 people lost their lives that day, but Fowler still gave extra credit to emergency responders for their quick response. But Sandra, as noted earlier, the town quickly put the pieces back together as best they could. A new bridge was in place 2 years later, but they